Hello, Formula One fans, and welcome back to F1 in Focus. We are the only Formula One podcast where a Dutchie and an Englishman can very much get along in the world of Formula One while having civil discussions, race recaps, and discussing, of course, racing food and beverages. On show number 3, we'll discuss Piastri confirmed to be going to McLaren, who takes the Alpine seat, and which non-Formula One driver is bound to be in Formula One in the coming season. And of course, we'll discuss everything that has happened in the Dutch Grand Prix, and we'll briefly dive into our Monza predictions. My name is John. I'll be your host today, and I'm joined by the man with the best hair in the biz. Is none other than James Hazel.
Hello. I
Hello,
don't think
James.
I'm ever going to get used to that intro.
I'm not sure I want to keep it, but hey, if you're listening to this and we're now available on iTunes, so might be having more listeners this week already, let us know what you think of that intro and if I should keep mentioning James by that nickname. I think it's going to be all right, though.
Yeah. How are you
I'm
doing?
wearing orange, you're wearing red.
Yeah, well, it's just the t-shirt I'm wearing today. There's no theme for it. Yours seems quite themed.
Yeah, it was themed, of course. I mean, when the Dutch Grand Prix had, if you watch it, it's like a festival for everyone. And I think everyone in the Netherlands just also it's like almost feels like a national holiday when Dutch Grand Prix is now. You see people running over the street with orange t-shirts everywhere going to watch the Formula One. And then when the race starts, everything in the whole country gets shut down. Well, not literally, but there's just no one on the streets anymore.
Yeah.
So I think my wife and daughter went out shopping this afternoon and they were basically alone in all the stores.
I don't
So
think
yeah, wearing orange is part of the venue.
yeah, I don't think that's ever happened in the UK, really, for Formula One at least.
No, people are crazy here about Formula One, and of course,
Yeah.
with proper reason. But well, when in sports, we all bound together and we go out en masse. 305,000 people attending to the Dutch Grand Prix this weekend, James.
Yeah, that's crazy numbers. Yeah.
Insane,
It
right?
looked absolutely packed.
And just two nutties in all of it.
What was that? Sorry.
Two nut jobs in those 305,000 there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we not talk about it too much, but I don't think it could happen anywhere. I'm afraid, but it's still
Yeah.
crap, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a shame, but at least I was quite happy when I read that the crowd had turned on the first guy and basically
Yeah,
dragged
and
him
I
out to
pointed the second one
security
as well.
and yeah, got him removed. Good.
So that's good. Let's not talk too much about it. Today we are going to talk
Yeah.
first. We're going to start with news, and then we go into a new topic of the show. Let's see how that goes. But news, Friday it got confirmed after a couple of long weeks. Finally, it got confirmed by the FIA boards of contracts. I think that Piastri is now confirmed to go to McLaren.
Yeah.
What a surprise!
Yeah. To nobody.
No, except Alpine and
Well, Alpine
Osman.
maybe.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, they were convinced that they had a contract, and it sounds like all they really had was some kind of verbal or maybe even written agreement, but nothing that actually is defined as a contract.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
great move for McLaren, I think. Unfortunate for Ricardo, but yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that lineup next year. I'm a little bit concerned. I can't believe, I think Marco Helmut mentioned this as well, didn't he? That one downside to all of this is piling on the pressure on Piastri to perform next year because it's like all eyes on him because of this.
And rightfully so as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, if you go into Formula One as a rookie, there's already a bit of pressure on you. But when you can get being saved because there's nothing going on around you, like this year, for example, with Zoo, I think you can just get used to it and see how it goes. Um, being at a top tier team is already a big pressure. Let's say he's on a fourth or fifth team. Let's talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, with all this mock up around him, it's definitely he's definitely on the looking eye next year.
Yeah,
I hope for
100%.
me does well though. But
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. I
uh,
mean, all he's really got to do in his first year is perform better than Ricardo's been performing this year.
uh, I mean,
and he's got excuses for like the first few races at the very least, and that is that it's his first seat in Formula One, and he's taking taking a bit of time to adapt.
that's true. Do you
So,
think he's worried about moving not to the right team? Because it definitely starts to look like Alpine is going to be the fourth best team this year, right?
um, fourth best team, but either the fourth best car. I think that's still up for debate, don't you?
Uh,
I think it's
I
hard.
think
I
it's
think it's
highly
hard to.
circuit dependent this year so far.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, but I think the only reason why they are pretty much guaranteed to finish as the fourth best team now is because Norris is the only McLaren driver fighting for any points, and
Yeah.
there's only so much he can do by himself when Alpine have got Alonso and Ocon pretty consistently finishing in the points now. I mean, Alonso, I didn't realise this until after the race today. That was his 10th point scoring finish in a row this season,
Yeah.
which I mean that's great for a team that's like a midfield team fighting for being the top of the midfield. That's exactly
Cars
what you need.
lightning fast on the straights though.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
And good. And again, we had Ocon having a terrific race last week, and this week we'll talk about him shortly, I think, as well. And Fernando is, like you said, consistently performing, so that's a great lineup. And I think they'll miss Fernando, but I think getting the other driver we're about to talk about getting in, because it's pretty clear we get Gasly in to Alpine now, right?
It seems pretty much done, doesn't it? Uh,
Even
yeah,
Red Bull
there's
doesn't hide it anymore.
no like stuff that's been said after the race today. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was afterwards. I was going to say it might have been before, but I don't think it was. But there was that was Helmut Marko again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Saying that like basically the deal's in place. They just need Herta to get his super license.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's also a different story.
yeah.
We'll get.
So
Well, let's talk
well,
about Gasly and Ocon though. Gasly and Ocon both in Alpine. It doesn't seem too bad, except I thought these two hated each other.
they do. Yeah, they've got history, haven't they? They're both from pretty much the same region of France, aren't they? So I think
Yeah,
they've been competing against each other from a very young age. And it sounds, I mean, I don't know the full story behind this other than, what I've read. And what you read isn't always 100% accurate, I guess. Like there's always two sides to a story as well. But it just sounds like the pair of them maybe were friends and then that friendship didn't become compatible with being competing drivers. So, I mean,
no, we don't. We all know what
that's
happened when we saw Ocon and Perez not getting along.
yeah. I mean, it's a story as old as racing's existed. Is that when you're competing against each other, it just doesn't seem possible to remain on a friendly basis, really. Oh, well, maybe not on a friendly basis, but to remain actual friends. Because at the end of the day, you're showing up every weekend or every other weekend competing against that person. And even if it's not in a race, like you're fighting for the top dog status within the team, and you got to put your hours in the sim or working with your side of the garage, and it's just even within a team, it's naturally competitive. So yeah, I think the friendships there are difficult to kind of maintain, and obviously they've fallen out at some point, and that seems to be a big part of why Ocon was pushing very hard for Schumacher to become his teammate. I
Yeah, that
think.
was the insane part of this. I really want Schumacher. No, I think Schumacher. Schumacher, I think he deserves a seat. Basically,
Yeah,
please don't put Gasly next to me.
yeah.
Who's the better one of those two, you think? Gasly or Ocon?
I
Maybe
think
just gut
Gasly.
feeling.
I think Gasly. I think
Uh,
Gasly is a better driver. I think he got a bit of a rough deal with Red Bull when he was moved up, and then he had a bit of a pretty poor showing, didn't he? And they shuffled him back down, and that
it was
just
really poor, right? Quite
it was
honestly, it
really
was
poor.
really poor.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's got to be a massive confidence knock when you're moving up to the top team, and it's like finally I'm here, and then you perform poorly, and they don't even give you a year. They give you like 6 months,
That's true.
half a season or whatever.
Just to
And
Spa, summer break.
yeah, and then they're like, okay, you can go back from whence you came, and we'll take someone else instead. And then after that, all these well, I say all these opportunities. There hasn't been a huge amount of opportunities, but there has been potential for him to like get his second shot and be moved up. And you know, Red Bull signed someone that's not even part of the Red Bull Academy in Perez. Like they'd rather bring Perez in than give Gasly another shot. Like that's, I'm surprised he's stayed at AlphaTauri and within the Red Bull family for as long as he has. To be honest.
Yeah, in the end, it is also about getting a seat because there's not many seats to be given away, and you see now how hard it
Yeah,
can be to keep in Formula One. And once you're out, it's really hard to come. I
it's
think Alonso came back, Kimi came back, but those are world champions, and
yeah
I can't
because
really think of any other.
no, I mean look at
Magnussen,
like well Magnussen's kind of lucky in a way the way he got his shot again, and I mean there's like Hulkenberg-ish, but he just gets floated around like every year as somebody that is going to come back into the sport and doesn't, and just seems to be like the go-to guy for if somebody caught COVID. Um,
and not anymore even now though.
well, no, because
Piastri is now everyone's reserve driver
yeah.
at McLaren and at Alpine. So
But what I'm saying, I guess, really, is that Hulkenberg's a name that you could maybe sort of associate with leaving and coming back, but even he didn't really do it properly. Like he's just come back for the odd race now and then.
so that's I think probably why Gasly didn't actually sever ties too hard.
Yeah, I mean, it could have. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, do you? You don't know if he's like tried to move and it's just been unsuccessful. Like he might have tried to go for that McLaren seat a couple of years ago that Ricardo ended up getting. We don't know that. Like, but yeah, it 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 definitely feels like he was not going to get anywhere with the Red Bull family anymore. Like he was always just going to be an AlphaTauri driver until he decided to move on effectively or retire.
And AlphaTauri isn't exactly a bad team, but hasn't been
Not a
performing
bad
well
team,
either.
but
So.
I don't think any of the drivers that are in Formula One are there because they just want to. Well, there will be drivers that are there just because they want to drive in Formula One because some of them pay to be there to do that. But I mean, somebody like Gasly,
Yeah.
who's made his way up to Red Bull at some point, must be thinking like, I have the potential to be a Formula One champion. I just need that right set of circumstances and that lucky break to get me there.
Which he had though. So.
Ways and well, yeah, I suppose, but staying at AlphaTauri, he's never going to get it, is he? Like AlphaTauri are never going to be in contention for winning the constructors championship or the driver championship, are they?
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
so
He won a race. I think that's more than most of Formula One drivers can say,
yeah,
right?
it's more than a lot of people get. Yeah,
But it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to the the Ocon. Let's the French relationship might be a different topic. We can just put in the
yeah.
show next year.
I'm a little bit worried for Alpine that it's going to be a bit of a repeat of Ocon and Perez.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm
I
looking
think it
forward
might
to
get a
that.
little bit feisty.
But that opens the seat like AlphaTauri, and you already said it.
Yeah,
Colton Colton Herta suddenly got name dropped. I think yesterday for the first time. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember him. He's from IndyCar.
yeah. I think his name's been floating around a little bit, but there's a problem with the super license for him, isn't there? He doesn't have
Yeah,
enough points on his super license to drive in Formula One yet,
nah,
which
which is insane.
it is
That's
kind of insane because it feels like if you can, again, I'm only getting this second hand, so I don't know for certain, but apparently he's won 7 IndyCar races.
yeah, yes.
So I feel like IndyCar is probably close enough to Formula One that if you can win 7 of those races, you're probably a good enough racer to be in Formula One.
You're a better driver than probably any Formula Two driver, than quite honestly, right?
Yeah. So I don't know, but the rules are the rules, I guess. So if the rules
It
need
is.
revising, fair enough. But
I
um,
think they. Why did they put the super license in? I think that was to make sure there's not only paid drivers in Formula One, or that sort of
yeah,
limits paid drivers.
yeah,
If
it's
he's
just
proved like he did in the IndyCar, which is just a proven series, of course not FIA backed, which I think is the issue here, and that's why they get so few points for it, right?
I don't know for certain, probably, but even then, I mean, just because it's not an FIA event or championship or whatever, like it doesn't mean you can't recognize it at all. Certainly not as little as they currently are doing. Because, like I said, I feel like if you're capable of winning 7 races in that championship, you know, it's a fast open wheel sport like Formula One. Okay, it's not on the same level as Formula One, but if you can win that, even win one event in that, that proves you're a good racer.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
But it's interesting to see that Red Bull's not taking anyone like Lawson in. I would say let's or demote Perez, but just say okay, let's get Herta in because Herta he makes sense. He's a great driver. He has the experience. He can probably tag the team along like that. He's an American, so I think for sponsors and publicity, it's a good push, right, for Red Bull. But do they really need that? I doubt that. So they probably say you think he's a really good driver that fits that seat the best, right?
Yeah, I suspect this has got a lot to do with Formula One just trying to make a big push into America anyway, and like really kind of obviously Netflix is helping with that. They're trying to they've got another race on the calendar in Miami, haven't they now? Is Las Vegas still going to be a thing?
Yeah.
That's next year, is it?
Yes.
So you got 3 races in America next year.
Yep.
So having an American driver is going to be a good thing, I think.
Which makes me think the actual super license issue isn't going to be an issue here.
No, I think Domenicali's said that he's sort of half said like rules are rules, but I suspect that behind closed doors something's going to happen here and they'll get him in, especially with how confidently Red Bull are talking about how, like, you know, they've got a deal set up ready for him getting his super license sorted out. It sounds like it's going to happen. And maybe is there another way they can get his super license up to standard? Like, could they stick him in some free practice events or something and get him some F1 miles that might help with his license that way? I don't know, because
I don't know the score too much. I know F2 really helps, but I have no idea how much free practice actually helps these days. So else maybe Red Bull can say, you know what, for the next couple of matches, next couple of races, like Perez doesn't perform anyways, not let alone be performing on a Friday. Let's put him into the car Fridays.
Yeah, that's
or replace Gasly already on the Fridays.
Just give him some F1 miles that maybe he can't do that because of his license. I don't know. I should have done a bit of homework before this podcast, really.
I think as we are recording this, like, I think 17 minutes after Helmut Marko did the interview. So
yeah.
I can only expect so much. Talking about expect so much, I'm looking forward to seeing all those plays. Let's talk about if some drivers deserve a seat in Formula One next year or they don't. Because, James, you... we had a prediction last week and we said the Ferrari is going to be fast here. You said, yeah, they are going to be fast, but Max will win anyways. If you're listening to this, James was very much right in his prediction. And although I was very hopeful, but I said Leclerc. Yeah, exactly. I did predict it wrong, so well done on that. In the end, and we'll talk about this shortly, but I think in the end, Max won. I think fairly easy, at least deserved. Russell, second place.
Yeah, that's good result.
And Leclerc, good third place anyways.
Yeah.
Which does mean the gap is over 103 points, 110 points. Don't know the exact score anymore, but
it's 110, 109, something like that now, isn't it?
It's insane. It's a 109 point gap to Max. From Max to Leclerc and Perez, they're now equal on points. That means Max does not finish for the next 4 races, and Leclerc wins all those 4 races. And he gets a fastest lap on all those 4 races. Max is still leading with 5 points.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
We called it last week, really. It's over.
It's now over. And even Leclerc said, I'm probably best off not thinking about it anymore. And Max says, we'll see next week what the result is, but he knows. I want to do a new game with you, James.
Yeah.
It's called Yay, Nay, or Okay. I don't know, it's my best thing to make that one up, but let's see how it goes. What I want to do is take the grid, turn it into reverse order, name the driver, and we're gonna say yay or nay or just okay for one of those drivers. And if we have something to add or something to discuss about our opinions about that driver, let's continue. Let's see how far it goes. That way, we'll talk through the race. We'll talk you guys through the race recap, not race crap. That would be silly. And we'll see what happens. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Let's start with number 20 today. Of course, not qualified, honestly, but it's called Yuki Tsunoda. Did not finish.
I can't remember where he was before he didn't finish. I'm gonna go with nay.
I'm gonna go with okay because of a terrific qualifying from it.
Yeah, I'm going with nay just because of what happened with his car, the tire thing, and then effectively taking his seatbelt off, but then pretending he didn't take his seatbelt off, and then driving to the pits to get a new set of tires put on and get his seatbelt not refitted because his seatbelt was on, obviously. To then drive down the pits at like half the pit limiter speed, knowing that something was clearly wrong with the car, leave the pits, go back onto the track, and then just park it. Like what? That's I can't. To be fair, I can't just put that on Tsunoda, can I? That's the team as well. But
the thing is, when he drove out the pit, he pitted on the hards. He put him on hards. He came out of the pit lane and basically sort of spun right through and stopped.
Yeah.
And I said, "There's something wrong with the car. I think that my tires aren't fitted well."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh no, that's a huge mistake." But when I saw the replay, I thought he just had too cold tires. He just went through, and maybe it just didn't feel right. But in the end, his rear transmission was or his rear power shaft was broken, something like that.
Yeah. Is it differential or something?
Yeah. How can you not notice that then in your lap back to the pits?
I don't know. The team was saying that the data wasn't showing any problems, and then it became evident after the tire change. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bizarre one. The UK commentary had Jenson Button on this weekend, and I can't remember exactly what he said.
He said
I'm so
I know what he
confused,"
said.
or something like that. And I was like,
I know what he said because I wrote
Jensen.
it. You quoted it when he said that.
Yeah.
Because it was I was like, what's going on here? I really don't get what's going on. But there was more confusion because I saw Russell being put on soft tires, and you said that's just an error in the graphics and stuff as well was updated.
That was earlier on in the race. Yeah, that was after Hamilton had pitted and Russell was still on mediums, and then briefly the graphics were showing he was on softs.
Yeah, so Button says literally, I'm quoting here, "I'm just very confused."
Yeah.
And you said we all are, but we all are, Jensen. Yeah, we are all. But I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say with nay, because even if the mechanical fail wasn't his fault, I do think he still lacks communication skills, and the way he went overboard on the radio, thinking they misfitted a wheel, and then drove back without any communications and just panicked, basically untying his.
That's his problem. Is panicking. He's got he just seems to he can't handle when something goes wrong particularly well. And it's been evident for quite a while now that he.
But that lap on qualifying, mate.
Yeah, he's good in quality. To be fair to him,
But we're gonna say nay. I agree. You could send out a big nay. Nah, small nay. Small nay.
Yeah.
Valtteri Bottas also did not finish.
Bottas is a tough one because I thought I'm just going to say okay. He's just okay.
I'm going to say okay as well because I do like Bottas. He never does much wrong. Let's put it like this. But man, free practice 1 didn't start the car. Electrical trouble. Free practice 2 didn't get any speed in the car. Free practice 3 didn't start the car. Electrical troubles. You can't really expect to be up there anyways.
Exactly.
I think both Alphas didn't have any speed. I don't think
No,
Bottas can do anything about this, but it's like I've not seen many people having such lucky weekends as
no, but
Bottas did this week.
I think the problem is that Alfa Romeo just haven't kept up with the rest of the field when it comes to development. They've just
Yeah.
slipped right down. I mean, the first couple of races they were in the top 10. You know,
Bottas
they're
consistently qualifying Q3.
yeah. I mean, it's quite common from the commentary that they're talking about Bottas maybe made the right move because he was ahead of the Mercedes like for a couple of races and stuff. And like,
The weird thing is,
yeah,
it's just like a proper Alpha on the road. Electrical just
oh
sometimes
yeah,
fails. It's like you want to turn on the headlights, and suddenly the horn goes off. So that's just what happens in this team. But man, it must be frustrating having 2 free practices drop into the water while not having any
yeah, not a great
electricity.
track for that either. It feels like
No, and then on the main straight, just everything just boom out down.
yeah,
Just I've not seen a car literally stop so fast on a main
no.
straight where you can just drive, I don't know, 320
But
easily.
was there any obvious like smoke or anything out the back of it? I don't remember
Nothing. It just
seeing.
turned off. I think
Yeah,
it was poof over.
yeah. I wonder if that will be. I wonder if he'll need to take a new engine parts or anything and take a penalty for that. Suppose we'll find
Probably.
out next weekend.
Yeah, but it won't matter anyway if they keep up this pace. So
Well, no, they're in the back of the grid anyway, aren't they? So it's not gonna.
it was a
That's
tense
not a
moment
huge
though.
move.
That bit just at the main straight, and the end of the main straight, just standing still there. That must
Yeah,
have been scary.
yeah. Especially when
Because
Sainz
Saints
was
took
still overtaking Ocon.
and Alonso
Yeah,
1 lap later almost drove straight into him.
yeah, yeah. That was a bit scary actually. Who was that at the front of that pack? Was that Norris
I
or
think so. Yeah.
Stroll? I can't remember who that was, but somebody, because this obviously the safety car warning kind of hit the screens and stuff as they were coming up to it, and the car at the front, I think, saw that and slowed right down as they should, and the
Yeah.
cars behind
I
were
think Norris
still.
slowed down, and then Alonso was like, "Oh, I want to
Yeah, I
go
think
right," but he couldn't
Alonso.
go anywhere.
Yeah, I think Alonso maybe didn't quite catch the safety car warning as quickly, and was maybe caught a little bit by surprise by the sudden braking. But I mean, there's a car on the track there, so yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be able to take it anyway. So, but yeah, just thinking about Bottas and potential penalties, didn't he already take a new engine at
Yeah,
Spa?
but I think
Hope it wasn't that one.
uh, I don't know honestly. That would suck. I haven't read anything about it honestly as well. He does
Yeah,
have.
I think
It's for-
he took some penalties at Spa, didn't he? But yeah.
But yeah, I
Anyway,
think Zoe was 40 seconds behind, something like that.
yeah,
Looking at scores now, 37.3 seconds behind. That means that's in Zandvoort. That's like 45, like 65% of the track or something. So it's insane,
yeah,
right?
and that's after a safety car,
Yeah,
because that obviously allowed a lot of people to unlap themselves. So, and the
that's also
safety car, I
true.
mean that the safety car, there was only like 12 or 13 laps left by the time the safety car came
Yeah,
in, wasn't there? So to end up 37 seconds behind.
that's a good point. Yeah, I got to check when the safety car hits, but I thought it was with 13 laps in or 12 laps in. Safety car came on laps 57. So
Yeah,
when he went off, there was 12 laps left. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
about right.
I don't know how.
But that's
I don't.
37 seconds and 12 laps. Yeah, that is a big gap actually.
Well, I mean, he might not have been right back up to the back of the back of the bunch because I can't. Yeah, I can't remember who exactly was lapped at that point and who unlapped themselves.
Just say, okay, Bottas, okay, let's continue.
Yeah,
Because the next 2 ones is probably going to end up being
oh,
Nicolas
it's
Latifi. I just
nay.
can't anymore, right?
It's a nay.
It's a nay. It's a
Entire
plus
weekend
1 lap,
nay.
but
I mean, was it? I think it was qualifying Q1. Like the majority of the field were within
half a
like
second or something.
almost all of them were within like 7/10 of a second
Yeah.
of the fastest car. And then there was who was it? There was somebody who was like a second behind, and then there was Latifi that was 2 seconds behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got, I mean, even if it was the coexistence of Williams, yeah, he was his fastest lap was 1:13.3. Right? So Q1
Okay.
113.3, while Vettel ended up qualifying 19 on 112.3. So it's
Yeah.
second of the number 19.
Yeah, that was it then. So Vettel was second from last, and then Latifi. I mean, that was a poor time from. Oh, Vettel didn't get his second run though, did he? He went wide.
He
And
spun off, yeah.
yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I
So
mean,
Vettel had a pretty poor time, also because the track was rubbering in, so he lost.
that's
Effectively his fast lap was suboptimal.
1.7 seconds of his teammate Albon, though. Q1.
Yeah, well, that's it. Latifi's got no excuse really. Well,
So we just.
it's not just the qualifying; it's the race.
Yeah, he was at one point, he was 40 seconds behind number 19, and he ended up now one lap behind him, and that's. Yeah, he's the only one who drove 71 laps today. Yeah. So.
And Williams are now thinking of keeping him.
How? Like, I can't
Well,
make. I can't. They say if
yeah,
if he makes his results, if he gets like they can say if you get points you'll stay in because he won't ever get any points. And I can't believe this will happen.
yeah,
What's going on? I just can't get my mind wrapped around Williams even stating this.
yeah. Well, I think Williams like the idea of the money now because they were going to give that seat up for Piastri, weren't they? It sounds like well, we're kind of going back to the news a little bit here, but it sounds like what Alpine were planning to do was keep Alonso for 1 year, put Piastri in the Williams, taking Stroll's seat,
Yeah,
and then because Piastri's moved and they've lost Alonso at Alpine, like Alpine have no reason to send anyone into that Williams seat now, so that deal's off. So
Alpine had a
Williams,
great idea there though. They just forgot to put it
oh yeah, they just
on pen
forgot to
to
write it
paper.
all up and have somebody sign the dotted line. Yeah, dope.
Can
Yeah,
you believe that though? It's insane. They paid 500,000, I think, euros on
mm-hmm.
compensation for the legal case
Yeah,
to
yeah,
McLaren. But it's insane that you can like you have such an organized team, you're such a brilliant organization. They let Alonso run away without them actually having a chat with him, apparently, and they let Piastri go in on the other side of the building. Like, oh, now they're both gone. Hey, what happened here?
yeah,
And they're lucky. They're actually lucky that Red Bull says, you know what, Gasly, it's okay. You can wind your contract, right?
yeah.
Because
Well,
else they'll end up with I don't know who.
yeah. To be fair,
Schumacher.
Red Bull do have fun for that, don't they? They don't mind letting a driver go if they know they're not going to use them. Did the same with Sainz, for example.
Oh, that's true.
So I suppose
But
that's
still,
actually one of the good things about the Red Bull Academy is that if you know you're not going to make it,
they'll
you
get you
also
somewhere
know
else.
that you've got an opportunity to get out.
That's true. So Latifi, big fat no.
Yeah, that's
I'm afraid that's the only driver who won't say anything good over. It's the weird part is when you see the guy off track, when you see the interviews, it's such a friendly guy. I think.
yeah, I
It's
know.
insane. You can't really hate him, but boy, if I was supporting Williams, I would be having a hard time getting that one. But anyways,
Yeah,
talking about good guys and hate seeing him not perform. Danny Rick,
yeah, it's a nay.
it's a big nay, and you'd say, well, the whole world knows that you've been sort of duped out of your seat, or like
Yeah,
I show you I showed you a message where he said, "No, I'm fighting for my seat, and there's no actually things of there's no way I would leave. I still have a contract till next year.
yeah,
Looking
yeah,
forward to Las Vegas." And that was apparently a couple of days after he actually heard about Piastri signing the contract. So he knew he should be the one and only driver that's not only, but him and Schumacher would be the only two drivers that are so motivated to show anything at all. And qualifying sucks. A race, invisible, sucks. No speed at all. I really like his stroke waffle journals he did this weekend and all the chats, of course. But man, it's sad. I don't have any other words for it. I feel sad for the guy.
yeah. It is. I mean, I've said it in both shows now, or both episodes of this that we've done now that I like Ricardo and I would like to see him in Formula One still, but he's just not performing at the level you need to perform at to be in Formula One. It's
He's
that
going to be one heck
simple.
of a pundit though next year on Sky Sports, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe he'll just move into another series. Yeah, maybe NASCAR or something. He seems to like NASCAR, doesn't he? So he might be
IndyCar.
interested in that. IndyCar,
Maybe
maybe.
McLaren
Yeah.
has a seat for him somewhere. But a big nay for Danny Rick. I think
Yeah, it's a nay.
we'll stop putting salt in the wounds for him, right?
Yeah.
What about Zoe? Ending up 16th, 37 seconds, and just before Danny Rick.
I'm gonna say okay, just because it's probably where the Alfa Romeo is right now. So he's not achieving, but he's not underperforming
No,
particularly either. He's just kind of where that car is, unfortunately.
I have to agree. It's the same with Bottas. I think they don't do any silly things. They maximize what they can, but it's just
Yeah.
a shit box, as they would call it currently.
Hmm.
That's not going to. I think also the Alphas and the Haas were the cars most into the gravel this weekend as well in practice, because
Yeah. Yeah.
every other corner they just went went off again with a massive heave of oversteer.
Yeah. Those two cars and Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah. Oh
He
man, we
made a
shouldn't
couple
laugh
of
about it, but
adventures. He
it's
made a couple of adventures into the gravel as well, didn't
yeah, always the same corner as well. Number 15, Kevin Magnussen.
I'm going to say nay.
I have to
Magnussen.
agree.
He should have done better than he did. He made that pretty pretty silly error at the start of the race that almost put him out of the race, going like tapping the wall.
Nice
Um,
save though.
it was a good save, but it was just pure luck that that wheel wasn't bent or punctured.
Or he
Because
just slammed him into
that
the.
was a pretty
Yeah.
hard impact for a Formula One car, to be
It would have
honest.
been a safety car as well. Lap
It
one.
would have been 100% would have been, yeah. So I'm going to say nay because of that, because he's finishing behind Schumacher, who I think Magnussen should be beating every weekend. I think Magnussen, certainly at the start of the season, proved himself to be the better driver of the two. Um, he's just had a poor weekend, and like you said a couple of minutes ago, like there was a lot of adventures into the gravel by the Haas team, and Kevin Magnussen certainly did his fair share of that in practice
It
sessions
was
and
good he
stuff.
did that
So
in practice though, because he probably wouldn't be able to save the car in the
yeah,
race if
yeah,
he
he got a
didn't.
lot of off-road experience, didn't he?
But yeah, it wasn't
Yeah, that's true.
the best weekend for Kevin.
Yeah.
Talk about not having a bad weekend. The man who I doubt as I think Aston Martin doesn't have any mirrors on the car that actually work. That's one.
No,
And I feel it's one of my favorite drivers of all time. But Sebastian Vettel had a stinker this weekend, right?
huge nay, like worst showing from Vettel in quite a while, I think, from the uh, the mistake in qualifying that put him out in Q1 when Stroll finished like fifth fastest or something like that at the end of Q1. Like he was very fast.
Stroll finished on 10th and couldn't start Q3, but
No, but in Q1,
yeah.
Stroll was like right up there, one of the top cars.
Yeah, so Stroll had a 111.5 Q1
Yeah,
to a 112.3 or almost for 112.4 with Vettel.
yeah.
So,
But you've got that. You've got some mistakes during the race. There's the blue flag incident. You got a
and
5
his
second
comment, I
penalty
think the
for that.
comment below that, you've seen the comment?
Yeah, where he feels that you lose time over taking a lapped car anyway.
Yeah, and
So
he's
he
to decide
felt,
where it costs him the least amount of time.
yeah, that's not how a blue flag works. This is
Oh,
the champion of blue flag over the radio.
yeah.
And then he's turning. I honestly don't think he believes what he's saying there. He's just, yeah, I think he's just trying to defend himself, even when he knows it's pretty indefensible, to be honest.
Oh, we've seen last week that like Hamilton makes a mistake and he owes up to it. I appreciate that much more than silly talk like this, honestly.
Yeah,
Especially with someone with that big of a career, mate. You just
yeah.
didn't see the blue flags. Probably the team weren't coaching you either. Also,
Well,
why are you not?
I think that was probably part of it because I think his team really he should have coming out of the pits. He should have stayed behind the pit exit line and just let those two cars get past
Yeah,
before he really put his foot down. Why he jumped in and started defending like he thought he had like the position behind him was the car behind him. It's like he didn't. It's like he just wasn't aware of where he was on the track and who was around him.
it was a gray and a red car, right? So, like, it
Yeah.
was. Well, oh
Well,
no, it was
it was
Perez
Hamilton
and
and
Hamilton.
Perez, yeah.
Ah,
Because Hamilton just passed Perez and then almost lost the position straight away because of Vettel blocking him.
insane. I think that was the worst looking moment of the weekend. But in qualifying as well, right? Both Austins. Sebastian Vettel had it as well on FP1, I think, where he just didn't look in the mirrors and just
Yeah.
proper blocked. I think he blocked Alonso. He blocked Norris. 100% he blocked Norris.
Yes. Yeah, he did. That's right. Yeah, he was just casually driving around pretty slowly on a cool down lap or an out lap or whatever.
And then hit
and then
racing
just
line.
Swings around into the apex when when Norris was there.
So
Norris.
nay for Vettel.
Yeah, definitely.
Mick Schumacher finished 13th
yay.
and getting an 8th position in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm going to say yay for Schumacher. His race maybe could have been slightly better, but his qualifying was brilliant, and 13th's not bad for the Haas.
Big yay. You can't say anything else about that, right?
And there's some, I mean, we've just been giving Vettel some stick, but there was some great clean racing between the two of them at one point. We were like side by side through like 3 corners.
That's also true, yeah.
Fighting pretty fairly. That was some really good Formula One, that. So, yeah. Not much else to say about Schumacher on that. I think it was a pretty good showing for him.
Yeah. Agree. Number 12, Alexander Albon.
Where did Albon qualify? I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but it's a beautiful thing about data. I can just watch it and can see that Albon started 15th.
15th, yeah. I feel like he wasn't completely invisible this race. He obviously didn't have as good a race as Spa, but I think I'm still going to give him a yay. I think 12th. I mean, finishing 10th in Spa was like incredible. You can't expect him to perform at that level every race, I don't think. Like
getting 12th, I mean, not that far off though, right?
Exactly, that's what I mean. He massively outperformed the car at Spa, and you don't have the straights at Zandvoort for him to just kind of stay in position through pure straight line speed. So I think to finish 12th is pretty good. Yeah.
Agree. I definitely agree. What do you think about number 11, Pierre Gasly? And Gasly started in 11th as well, finished 11th.
Yeah, I thought he was just outside the top 10. I think just an okay for Gasly. Like nothing stood out one way or another really for him.
No.
He didn't really get a lot of TV time either, actually.
I'm thinking how much have I actually seen him, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I've seen more of Yuki than I saw of him.
Yeah.
Okay for me as well. Just say okay. Thinking okay is fine. So we're now down 10 places. We have 5 nays, 3 okays, and 2 yays.
Okay.
Not decent, I guess. Number 9, Esteban.
You've missed one. Number 10.
Number 10, of course. Number 10. Actually, Lance Stroll, number 10. The only Aston Martin that has working mirrors. He started 10th, not able to run into Q3. Finished 10th as well. Another point for Aston Martin.
I'm going to say yay, just because that was a particularly good qualifying performance for Stroll. And I think finishing 10th is decent. The car was pretty good this weekend, it seemed to be. There's a couple of practice sessions and qualifying where it seemed to be doing really well. It is a big shame for him, actually, that I don't know what the technical issue was, actually, that he couldn't get any laps in Q3 because he might have started, he probably would have started higher than 10th.
He could have beaten Schumacher, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, not a bad weekend for Stroll, to be honest.
No, definitely not. Esteban Ocon. We had a terrific race last week.
Yeah, I'm going to say
ninth.
just an okay for Ocon because he's finishing in that position that we keep saying about him finishing in. He hasn't,
Yeah.
we were saying like he's always like 8th, 9th, 10th or whatever thereabouts. He's done the same again this weekend. It seems to be where him and the car are supposed to be. I think, and it's just okay.
It's okay. I agree. Then someone who is definitely eager to forget everything Dutch related this weekend.
Yeah,
Number 8, Carlos Sainz.
this one is hard for me to rate because while some of the faults are his own, there are some faults that are down to that
I think
rookie
all of the
team.
faults, honestly, are not his.
Yeah, it all
I mean,
went
he
wrong
has an
with that
incident
first
in
pit.
turn 1 with Lewis Hamilton.
That I think was a bit unfortunate because he left the door wide open and Hamilton went for it. It looked like Hamilton wasn't going to go for it, and then he saw the gap and went
Yeah.
for it, and then he basically just seemed to take a late apex on the corner.
Yeah. And
Hamilton was
apparently he put out a statement that the car was damaged because of that.
right,
So that
but
costed him a little bit of time.
I feel like that's a little bit on him because where he connected with Hamilton, like Hamilton was complete, like his front wheel went into like effectively like the side pod area, didn't it?
Yeah.
So he's pretty significantly alongside him. And he'd left the door wide open on the first corner of the first lap.
I have the feeling with Sainz, he's so focused of outperforming Leclerc that he doesn't actually watch
Yeah,
back.
I
He
think
only
so.
has the targets forward, and I don't really mind that too much. And honestly, Hamilton was the only one starting on mediums.
Yeah.
There's no way my brain would say look in your mirrors to where Hamilton actually is.
No,
So
but it's just the way that he went. It's almost like he went a little bit deep into the first corner and then just tried to cut it back.
yeah,
And at that point, like, if he should be looking for anyone, he should have been looking for Perez. Because Perez was right, like behind him with the
yeah,
soft tires as well, but he got a pretty terrible start, really, for considering the
as
tires.
always.
So anyway, for the rest of the race, I mean, the race was dire for him for a number of reasons, but not really all his fault. So I'm just going to say okay. I think for Sainz, like I think he did what he could do, but he wasn't. I mean, he certainly wasn't performing at an amazing level, like the way he was dropping behind
Qualifying was
Leclerc, even
close.
with the damage.
No, I think qualifying was
But
close. He could have just as usually made four. It's 1/10 of the other two guys, and those two guys were like insanely close.
yeah,
21,000. So that's it's okay. It's. I think I agree with okay, but the thing is, he has that incident in turn 1. Then he takes an early pit stop, as the earliest Ferrari, to do an undercut on the rest. And I don't know, but the Formula One car has 4 tires, don't they?
yeah, usually.
Except when they call in a pit stop late, they forget one. So they forgot his left rear tire, making it a 12.7 second pit stop
Yeah,
plus 19 seconds outgoing. That took
the
him
coverage over
31
here said that
seconds.
they normally have like a period of time, like a warning time that they stick to for letting the actual mechanics know that okay, we are bringing the car in, and there's like a cut off where it's like actually that's a little bit too late, and it sounds like they went past the cut off for giving them like
Yeah,
ample time for getting everything ready.
but then again, it was just one tire missing.
Yeah, so
Was he just?
someone who's forgot to grab that, like
You could see the wheel gun, man. He
they
was
they
actually
just
like
stood there, and he's like, ah, damn it, I knew I forgot something.
looking around.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were
Perez,
fetching the tire. No, you
yeah,
fetching the tire.
looking at each other like, oh, I'm glad these helmets have like the glass you can't look into. That was
Yeah.
really. But I feel for Sainz, and then he's got a penalty as well, mate.
Yeah. That was the unsafe release, wasn't it? Which,
Yeah.
I mean, it was unsafe, but it was also pretty harsh in some ways because
It's so
of
narrow. It's too narrow.
the pit lane's so narrow, yeah. And if you look at the gap that he had to the car coming along when he actually got the green light, there would have been space for like a normal release.
Yeah.
But it just so happens that the McLaren was pitting in front of him, like in the pit box in front of him, as he was about to be released, which meant that he couldn't just take like a speedy straight line exit out of the pit box. And they did at Zandvoort, I don't know if it's because of space, what they did at Spa, where all the pit boxes are actually pointing in a little bit towards the garage. They're not like
Yeah.
they're not like in a straight line to the garage. They're like pointing slightly inwards at the front. So that actually makes it more difficult to get out. It must make it a lot easier to get the cars in.
I think that's it. And if there's no one in front of you, it's actually no problem. What we saw with this first pit stop from Sainz as well, that if someone lays something behind him, like the reserve wheel guns, and it's the team in front of you, Perez just drives over it. It's like hardly avoidable. And I've checked around how often that actually works, right? But it's a reserve wheel gun they always put behind them. It was a little bit further away.
Yeah, they have two, because they have one. Obviously, they have the one that they're going to use, and then they have a second one in case anything goes wrong with that one. So I think that was just the second wheel gun that was sat behind him. But did you see that Perez and Sainz got called in for a how was it worded? It was almost like an unsafe pit entry, and it was about Sainz running over one of Perez's wheel. Well, it wasn't the actual wheel gun; it was the wheel gun like line. And I completely missed that in the race. And I didn't like when I saw that they'd been called in. I thought, oh, this is to do with
the first incident from
the first incident, but it was to do with Sainz's entry into the pits and like clipping part of the Red Bull team's equipment or something, because he would have had to cut across the front of the Red Bull garage to get into his like.
I think next year on Zandvoort we just need to like get Latifi and someone else not participate in the race, and we'll have plenty of space.
And then just spread everyone out a little bit more.
Makes for a better race, and we have safer releases. But I guess it's okay. I think Sainz is just really unlucky this weekend.
Yeah.
Who's not unlucky, I think, number 7 is Lando Norris. Normally just between the Alpines there.
Yeah.
Although with Sainz's penalty after safety car, he actually got in front of Sainz.
Yeah, Norris gets yay from me. I think he, like the Mercedes, was a little bit hampered by virtual safety car, full safety car. But at the same time, it's Zandvoort, like, that's a pretty narrow circuit. There's not a lot of runoff in places. It's maybe hard to get out. You know, there's deep gravel in places. If a car beaches, like, you've got to think the safety car is probably quite likely. So, yeah, but I'd say, yeah, he qualified well. He was racing really well. 7th is decent result for him, I think.
I think maximum results you can actually get in McLaren without anything weird happening. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Number 6, Fernando.
Yay again. Yeah, just a solid Fernando Alonso race as usual.
Yeah, it's never boring. It's waving with the hands and everything.
Yeah, there's always some gestures which I don't think really he was entitled to do in that move with Norris. Like, it was Norris, wasn't it, that squeezed in?
Yeah,
but
I get it as well.
I know what he's trying to do. He's just trying to he's trying to get an Oscar for selling like a penalty. Like, but I don't think he was ever. I don't even think that got investigated, did it? Like,
no, they didn't. But what Alonso does with his hands, George Russell does with his words.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if there's the stewards, if they either see something from cockpit view from Alonso or hear Norris's radio, they're like, "All right, noted."
Yeah.
Who was it? It's George Russell. Okay, there you go. Who was this? It's Lando. All right, into the bin. Next one,
put
please.
In the pile to be sorted later.
Yeah. We check after the race. We are checking.
Yeah.
But I agree, yay for Fernando, which means with the top 5 remaining, we've got 5 yays, 5 nays, and 5 okays.
All right, okay.
Pretty spread
out. Bad. Yeah, pretty.
I think that's The next one I feel very heavily about, but I'm going to let you answer it first.
Go for it,
Sergio
Neil.
Perez.
Perez is a pretty big nay from me.
Yeah.
He is lucky with the safety car and the virtual safety car that he had an opportunity to pull his race back a little bit, I think. Because
By going very safe to the mediums.
And Sainz obviously having all of his difficulties, including a 12-second first pit stop. Like Perez was just nowhere this pretty much the
All
entire
weekend.
weekend. Yeah. How was he not keeping up with Sainz, who we now know had damage, and Hamilton, who was on medium tyres when he started on soft tyres at the start of the race?
I honestly don't know. It's like I said to you, my opinion about Paris lately has been increasingly getting worse. Let's put it like this. I think if Max is such sovereignty, like last week, he has the car and he becomes second, but like Max is starting all the way back and wins the race by 18 seconds. Oh, you get 1-2 for Red Bull, but you should probably be ashamed your teammate passes you and outruns you for 18 seconds. And I think this weekend's shown that he was nowhere this weekend. He made a blunder in qualifying, of course, which did ended up working decently well for Max, honestly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just shows he's over the limit. He's not confident. And what I don't like about this approach now is that he's making up excuses in press conferences and interviews as well. Like, yeah, it's not my track and it's hard.
He's got form for this. This is the problem as well. Right? Yeah, I'm going to make a bold prediction here, and that is that it's not a bold prediction at all. Actually, it's just a prediction. And that is that if he doesn't turn this around and he starts next season on the form that he's on right now, and he is doing this like finishing races the way that he's finishing races right now, he will get shuffled out of that Red Bull seat mid-season. Because
deservedly so.
The only reason Red Bull don't really care too much right now is because they have such an advantage in the Constructors' Championship that it doesn't matter hugely. And obviously Max is so far ahead in the Drivers' Championship that it also doesn't matter. Like, they don't need Perez to be there as his rear gunner and to steal points away from Ferrari, because Ferrari are stealing their own points away most races.
I mean, that's fair, but on the other side, Max should have covered this race easily with Checo on top, right? Because then when the safety car hits, they can just say, Max, you go out, Sergio, you stay there, and make sure you swap around later on. Race done.
They don't need to worry. They don't need to apply pressure to Perez or do anything drastic about Perez right now, because ultimately Perez could fail to finish in the top 10 every race for the rest of the season, and Red Bull is still going to win both championships.
That's true, but it's a bit silly if even George Russell, says before the race, do you think you can? What do you think is the limit of this race? He said it probably can take anyone except Max, probably.
Yeah.
Except, so are you fighting the Ferraris? Yeah, I'm fighting the Ferraris and one Red Bull. That's a bit painful, ain't it?
It is, yeah.
And I want, if you're so far ahead now, have that chat with Checo now, because you can try Monza, where we're by far the favorites there. And if you don't hit second, or at least apply some pressure on them, right? Just finish the season with someone else in that seat.
The problem with that is, though, that even if he finishes second, what if it's like Spa and he's 17 seconds behind Max Verstappen, who's just...
Unless something happened with Max, that's exactly what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, and that's not good enough, because as soon as you get to a track where actually Ferrari or Mercedes or whoever are actually pretty close, you can't rely on Perez when he's that much slower than his teammate.
Don't forget, he started 11th in Hungary.
Yeah.
Right? He finished well in Spa, but he started well in Spa only because everyone took penalties.
Yeah.
And they had by far the fastest car. And today was lucky that Sainz drops off. Else, he could have finished 6th easily.
Yeah. He'd have finished sort of bottom of the top teams. Yeah. He'd have been the last car out of the top 3 teams.
Yeah. So it's a big nay, but I think
is, I think, pretty clearly now the best car. He's got no excuse.
That's the other thing. I don't like the excuse he puts up. Like, yeah, the car's not been developed towards me. Like, with all due respect, Sergio, you're 7/10 of qualifying pace from your teammate.
Yeah.
Why would your team listen to you by getting the maximum out of the car? Because your teammates apparently doing that. And as soon as you get close, maybe there's something to be said for your team to listen to you. But obviously, the way Max wants the car tuned is the way forward because he's winning 4 races in a row now already.
Yeah, Max is the one that is going to win the championship, not Perez. So why would they care what Perez wants? And also, I said this before. Like, I don't think that's not an excuse to be that far behind when you're racing at this level. Like,
Same with Daniel, right?
It's exactly like, okay, the car's not developed for you. Yeah, every car can't be developed for every driver.
But like if you see with Alpine, these guys are pretty much aligned. I think Stroll and Vettel normally pretty much as well. Mercedes, like we'll talk about them in a bit, but also I think pretty much aligned. I think
normally they're pretty close. I mean, like Hamilton kind of got the measure on Russell. I think I said that last week as well.
Yeah,
but it's close. Like wherever, like when Hamilton finishes ahead, Russell is normally the car behind him because they are that close.
Yeah.
There's they don't leave a space for somebody to slot in between and steal points from them like that. Usually, in an ideal situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
But it's like
Perez is just not.
Historically saying though, I said I said the same thing last year, and then suddenly we came to Mexico where he performed really well. We get into the last couple of races, street circuits, Singapore, where he was also very performing. Like, maybe it turns around a bit now, right?
Maybe. I mean, Mexico it does always seem to do well at, and that often seems to give him a little bit of life again towards the end of the season, doesn't it? So,
but it shouldn't be necessary.
Yeah.
No, enough of Perez because I know it's going to affect my mood if we talk about it.
Okay,
oh, Lewis. Good old Lewis, number 44, ending in place 4.
Yeah. Lewis gets a yay from me because he was fantastic in every practice session. His qualifying was fantastic. He was robbed of his final lap, which probably would
not make Paul. I think Toto saying he was 1/10 up front. There's no way these guys outperformed the Red Bulls on the straight.
Well, I mean, the gap between first and second was that tight. Like, how are you going to fit in there? It's not like.
I think that was a bold statement, Captain.
Yeah, he could have finished third. He could have got third. And then his race pace was like great.
Sure.
Yeah, he was just a little bit screwed by virtual safety car, team decisions a little bit. It all just kind of went wrong right at the very end for him. He should have finished the race second.
This is my issue, but I can't maybe not blame Lewis, right? In 2019 Brazil, we had the same position, same thing, and a safety car, and they keep Lewis out. Max pulls in. Max gets soft behind him and wins the race. Yep. Then we get Baku last year, of course, last race. Of course, nobody knew how many laps it would take, and the weird situation in the end where they could also Abu Dhabi, sorry, where they all have to overtake. That was weird, but in the end, when the safety car hits, it was 8 laps to go or 9 laps to go.
I don't know what race we're talking about here. I don't remember in Abu Dhabi 2021.
Exactly. But then again, they remained on track position and kept Lewis out on the old mediums.
Abu Dhabi now again, right? To be fair, that was a bit different. Because if he pits, then Max gets in front of him with track position. Like, basically, Max just does the opposite to what Lewis is going to do.
And he has to, but then the same.
There's a lot of gambling on how long a safety car is going to last, and
I mean, sure, and in the end, it worked out.
There was no reason. Like, everyone's been shouting, like, "Oh, hindsight." Like, I'll bring up.
No, everyone pitted. Everyone else pitted.
So I messaged you. See if I can find it, because I'm not going to let this go, because I don't understand what Mercedes did. So the pit comes in. The safety car comes out, and you say, "Yeah, Max's race is fucked." And I say, nah, they all just pit for softs, question
But
mark.
I thought everyone would go in for softs.
Yeah.
That
That's
would
what I
mean
said.
the Mercedes had track
Because
position and they all had
no, no, no,
softs.
no. No,
That's what
because
That's why I said I think the race is done
no,
for
because
Max.
at that point Max was already in the lead because he'd pitted via the virtual safety car, which put him track position first place anyway, and then with the safety car.
That's true.
So because Max pitted behind the safety car, and Mercedes didn't. That gave Mercedes track position, but they're doing the usual. Oh, we'll just try and race on used soft mediums, which okay, they're not that used, but they are used. Whilst everyone else is on brand new softs or very new softs, the faster tire for effectively a 12-lap sprint race.
Yeah.
Why? And Mercedes said, well, we don't care about like the end result. We just want to try and get that win. And so we gambled on Lewis getting the win. If you want to gamble on the win, you keep Russell out on mediums as well, so that you have two cars to try and fight off Max. And that makes it at least a little bit more challenging for Max to be able to get up to first place.
Gives you an option, yeah.
Like the way it panned out, Max was probably going to win that regardless if they did play that strategy and they both do it.
He's got overspeed and confidence.
Yeah, but what they did was Russell said basically, I want the soft tires, give me the soft tires, and they said okay. And in doing that, they effectively split their strategy, and what they got from that was the worst of both strategies. If they'd have just pitted Lewis for softs and Russell for softs, they could have finished second and third.
Yeah, they would have. Period.
Yes. By if they'd left the cars out on mediums, high risk, high reward, you might have got first place out of that. It's very unlikely now that we've seen how Max performed in that final stint on the softs. But at the time, it was like maybe they could try and do this.
Especially this situation, Max only has to overtake one.
Well, if they can survive those first two laps and they give Lewis gives Russell DRS and it becomes a DRS train, then maybe that works, especially if they race strategically as well with how they kind of gap each other and stuff like that. But it's pretty clear that there wasn't really a team game being played, and it was, if that's what they wanted to do, they should have overruled Russell. Or if they just wanted to maximize the team result, they should have just pitted them both.
But in the first lap, I think that was the frustrating part because the safety car hit. Everyone came in except the two Mercs, basically.
Yeah.
And then in the next round they come up. Then Russell says, "I'm coming in for softs."
Yeah.
I don't know if he just ran in and hoped these guys were standing ready and they had no other choice left. Or...
No, so he was arguing not necessarily arguing. He was just making his case over the radio. And at the very last second, they did say to him, "Okay, box for softs." Okay. So he pitted and they had the softs ready, and he'd made his point, and they.
So here's my point. Here's my point. Why I'm a bit afraid of giving Lewis the yay instead of the okay. Shouldn't Lewis, with all his experience, call the shots there and say, "Just put me on soft, guys"?
Well, yeah, maybe, and he made a bad restart as well. But I think,
about the restart, I don't get why he doesn't turn out all the way to the end, but starts before the corner, give Max the overspeed, and then say, "Okay, here's the safe thing, you do it, mate."
I mean, he basically just said to Max, "Okay, slipstream me now."
Yeah, exactly. So
just put your foot down right at the last second as you're crossing. Is it the safety car line or the DRS?
It's a pretty far line, so you can do it pretty.
So you can waste like half the straight so that they can slipstream you. Yeah. So Lewis kind of did screw up there, but with the team, I think they had a plan, and he thought he was just sticking to the plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it.
But then again, I do think it's a bad restart.
And also, he didn't realize everyone else was on softs until like 2 or 3 cars had passed him, and then he's asking on the radio, like, "Is everyone else on softs and I'm on mediums?"
Everyone else except Perez, of course. So that's safe this.
So I think I Lewis maybe could have made a call like Russell did, but at the same time, I think he's kind of trusting his team at this point.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say yay to, and I'm gonna say yay to Hamilton, and of course he did really well over the weekend. I am gonna say there's no way he would have won it. Quite honestly, no way he would have get pole, no matter what they said.
He was not going to get pole. Like Verstappen just pulled a lap out of nowhere with that one. Well, it wasn't out of nowhere, but it was compared to certainly Friday, um, and it was quicker than it looked like it was. It was a lot
Yeah.
better than it looked like we thought it would be from free practice 3. But
FP1 he missed, and FP2 was mwah.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but okay, let's give you Lewis the yay. But next time, look at free practice 2 or like Formula 2 to see how the restarts are done, because they
yeah,
did take the whole straight there, and I don't think Max would have been able to pass him that easily. Would have taken him at least to the next lap to
yeah.
attempt
It
it.
would have been. It would.
So
I mean, it probably would have got him the same way on the second lap after the restart, but he could have at least bought himself some time.
uh,
So yeah, that was a bad restart, basically.
and I think it's a bad call from Mercedes saying afterwards. Toto says yes, but we didn't want to go for 2-3. We want to go for a win, and it was our best way of trying it. We cameled, but we miscameled.
But that's
I
what I
think
mean.
that's a silly excuse. Almost.
Well, no, this is this kind of backs up the argument I was making, is that if Toto thinks that they're going for a win, you don't split the strategy, which is what they did by
Exactly, you keep them together.
Yeah, because they finished second and third strategy was to put both of them on softs for the end of the race. If they're on the same tyre as Max Verstappen on soft tyres after the safety car restart, when they're not
But
going to they're not going to beat Max Verstappen.
But they
If you
might
keep,
actually. They might. They actually have a chance. Then.
I don't think they did. I think Max was too fast on those soft tyres.
But
They would
in
have
that
finished
strategy,
second and third.
yeah.
And sticking them sticking it out on mediums and holding track position, like that was, like I said, that was high risk, high reward. And
Talking about
by
high risk,
pulling
right?
one of them in, they just they didn't commit one way or the other, basically.
Talk about high risk, high reward. What about that block from Lewis on George when George wanted to overtake him?
I want to know what happened with that, because
it felt like he was like, "You're not going to overtake me," but then realized actually it's my teammate. I should just let it pass. It felt a bit like that.
So my first read on it was they both went the same way, when I think Lewis was going to try and let him pass, because he kind of went that way and then he went the other way when he realized, like he basically pulled out of the way when he realized that Russell was going the direction he was going. So I think there was just a bit of a misjudgment on how to let his teammate through.
It's a close call though. Could have cost them the both race in all.
It could just be bias there, because obviously I'm a Hamilton fan. So, but like
that's fair though.
That was my read on it. But commentary straight away was like, "Oh God, they're almost wiped each other out," and talking about defending, but it didn't necessarily strike me as a defense at first. Maybe it was, but I don't know. Maybe someone will make a statement later on.
That's true. Our commentator says, "Is Lewis frustrated?"
Well, his radio messages gave that away.
Yeah, fair enough as well. Okay, number 3 though, Charles Leclerc.
Okay,
Finishing,
just okay.
I think no pace, honestly. I like he qualifying perfect, right? Close, free practice all weekend, close. Yeah. I love his fighting mentality though. He keeps positive. He's keep going at it.
Yeah, I think.
Being beaten by Mercedes still. It's like,
that's not good. No, I don't think that'll happen much more for the rest of the season though, because I don't think any of the remaining tracks are going to benefit Mercedes the way that this one did. But yeah, I think I'm saying okay rather than nay, just because Sainz didn't really have an opportunity to try and beat him, because I think if he'd have lost to Sainz out and or Perez this race, they would have 100% been a nay from me. But he just kind of finished where he was predicted to finish, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't. I honestly expected after this. Yesterday qualifying was a big surprise for me. Max getting pole position there, of course.
Yeah,
but the gap was so close, and the Ferraris looked so strong this weekend that I still didn't expect a win from Max today at all. I thought from the start, if they don't overtake Max at the start after the penalties, with them two being up top, it's they could win it. Then again, the first pit stop messed up that story and was fairly clear that Max was faster anyways.
Yeah, I still thought Max would win. I think.
Yeah, you predicted it right. I know.
No, not just because of my prediction, but the performance in qualifying was like, okay, this is going to be a race. In fact, it was less of a race than I thought it was, but it would be, but in the opposite direction after like the practice sessions, because he just not necessarily ran away, but he just sort of steadily just pulled away from Leclerc, and
Yeah.
Leclerc had no answer. And
2 tenths a lap, 4 tenths, and then suddenly there was
Yeah.
like, oh, second lap, bye bye. That's it.
yeah,
True. By
And then
lap,
that was
I
it. He
wrote
was
it down. I think by
just-
lap 12 it was he in lap 12. He pulled away by a second the lap then, and then Leclerc went in.
yeah,
So Leclerc went. Yeah. Max
Yeah,
was lap 10. Max was 1.8 seconds away from Leclerc. And Sainz was already 0.5 seconds a lap slower to Leclerc.
yeah,
So they were dropping off, and then Leclerc went in lap 18 because he suddenly lost a second a lap in lap 18. So
yeah,
5 seconds when they pitted. So that was a big gap
yeah.
already. I'm gonna agree. It's an okay for me for Charles.
Yep.
George Russell,
It's another yay.
52nd.
Yeah, another yay.
Good weekend, right?
It was a great weekend for him again. Yeah,
Good call, good qualifying, decent enough.
yeah,
He's actually showing that he was worthy of the Mercedes seat, I think.
yeah. He was keeping pace with Lewis and even gaining on Lewis on certain parts of the various stints that they did this weekend or this race. Yeah, it was a good race. Qualifying could have been a little bit better, but that seems to be a bit of an Achilles heel with Mercedes, anyways. That they don't quite get the qualifying right. I think it's just a
Timing
tyre
was a bit
warm-up,
off.
isn't it? Yeah,
I think they both would want to have position one higher than.
Yeah, obviously their final Q3 run was ruined by Perez spinning, so they were maybe not quite where they should have been. But yeah, overall, it's a yay.
Yeah, for sure. Max Verstappen.
A huge yay. Like, he had a great race.
The man is becoming the new Iceman, though.
Yeah,
and I'm a fan, of course, right? But I'm biased. But
well,
like, I was
panic
worried
during-
Saturday, not starting the free practice 1 and the qualifying wall. Like, it felt a bit. It's not going to be. Then he does Q2 and not changes to new softs again. Like,
Yeah.
I keep one spare of softs. And in interviews, he's like Iceman and confidence as well. Not arrogant, but confident. So in the end, I saw an interview with Sky Sports where they said like, you were lucky maybe with safety car, and else, do you think you could have the Mercedes? He said, yeah, sure. No, I'm not even doubting about the fact that he could have overtaken them anyways.
Yeah,
And I think it's fair.
Yeah, because what would he have done if there wasn't for the safety cars? The Mercedes were just going to hang it out on the hards.
Lewis was flying and getting towards him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the hard tires were going to drop off because
nobody knew, but they all stepped out of it.
We never got a chance to find out. But like, Hamilton was gaining on him, Russell was gaining on him. But then what was he going to do? Stop and stick another set of mediums on, or was he going to hang on a bit longer and then put his other set of No, he only had one set of brand new softs, didn't he? So
this softy, put on about 3 laps on it.
Yeah, so he could have put some pretty fresh softs on, or he could have put another set of mediums on, and
at a safe stop, being third, and then start hunting. I think he would have made that as well. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, well, we know what he was going to do actually because he put the mediums on when the virtual safety.
And he had an 80-second gap, right? So it's not that he had an 80-second gap, 12 seconds after the virtual safety car, I think. So it's not like he would end up 18 seconds after the Mercedes. He would end up 10 seconds.
No, it would have if
or
there
8.
hadn't been any of the safety cars, he would have come out right behind or alongside Russell.
Yeah.
So he would have had to pass the Mercedes on track, but that's not tough because the Mercedes have no straight line speed.
Well, no, straight line speed is a bit too much, but the way he overtook Lewis without DRS, give him DRS, and I think that's a done deal, right?
Yeah.
But I'm impressed by Max getting 4 wins in a row. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect him to win Hungary, and I didn't expect him to win Zandvoort, but I'm definitely glad he won Zandvoort because of my bias, of course.
He's going to break that wins in the season record this season.
I mean, I've always said if you get 10 wins a season, if you get 10 wins, the championship is yours, right? There's no coming around that.
Should be, yeah.
Last year he did with 10, I think.
Yeah.
So
this is 11th win of the season. This
10th.
Oh, this was his 10th this weekend, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's won 10. We've got 6 or 7 races left.
That's a good question, though.
7, isn't it?
7, I think. 2 races, and we got Monza left. So
yeah, it's 7. He only needs to win 3 more to tie the record.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, it seems pretty doable now. He's going to win Monza. He's probably going to win in Suzuka. He's probably going to win in America at Austin.
Yeah, so it's just a matter, does he win?
And he probably wins Abu Dhabi, so yeah.
You can't say that. I mean, it can still happen something, right? So
something can happen, but I think
we have Monza, Singapore, Japan is 3, USA is 4, Mexico is 5, Brazil 6, Abu Dhabi 7. So
yeah,
he needs to get 4 out of
the. Get 4, yeah. I think it'll be Monza, Suzuka, Austin, and Abu Dhabi. If he doesn't win another one before Abu Dhabi, he's got plenty of chances.
Japan is also not a bad track for them usually, right? He can actually, I think he can actually get championship in it. Yeah, so I think it's a done deal. Let's put it out there. Yeah, this is a done deal, and better than I expected. Of course, better than I hoped, but it looks much more dominant than it actually was. I think today was actually a pretty tight race. Last week was dominant. Hungary wasn't dominant at all, right?
No, but I think so. Last weekend, I didn't want to commit one way or another on like what the technical directives have done and exactly where cars are coming out of the summer break, because Spa is a bit of a different track to what most of the tracks on the circuit.
But they did hurt Ferrari.
Seeing there was one particular shot, an on board of Leclerc, and I messaged you and I said that Ferrari is still really struggling with the pops. And
you can also hear it.
Like, I think Ferrari have suffered a bit with this technical directive. That's how it's looking now from this race as well. I think we'll know for certain from Monza, but
could be a very painful weekend for the Tifosi.
I think Sainz is going to have to take a penalty, isn't he?
He already confirmed it, I think.
Oh, did they? Right. Yeah. I mean, he didn't take it at Spa, and he's definitely going to need another engine because one of them went up in smoke.
You don't want to get it at Japan or at Singapore, so
no. So Sainz isn't going to win it unless it's a absolutely bizarre race with weather and safety cars to bring him back into contention. So
as long as Lewis and Max don't get each other in the first corner, there's actually no safety car, not many safety car risk at Monza, anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's, weather.
It's called the Temple of Speed, and the Red Bull has 12 kph overspeed or something now. So
yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good weekend for Ferrari fans next weekend. Well, I mean, they'll get one car on the podium, assuming it finishes the race, and that's Leclerc.
And that's a big if one already has to take an engine penalty.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think Monza might be the least interesting race we're going to get. Predictions for Monza?
It's going to be Max, Perez, Leclerc.
I can't say anything else than just join you there.
It's impossible, I think, for anything else.
I think the Alpines will get actually a good race in there.
Yeah.
Surprise prediction: Albon P8.
Albon P8. Okay.
Because that car is fast, man, on the straights, and this is basically all straights. So
I'm going to make the same prediction I made last weekend because I think it's actually more likely to happen this week. Going into this race, and that is that one of the Alpines is going to finish ahead of one of the Mercedes without any kind of special event happening, like one of them, DNFing or whatever. Because I think Mercedes are going to struggle at Monza. They just don't have top speed for a top speed circuit. Like, they're just too draggy.
Yeah.
So I think where they might do well in the corners, they're just going to get mugged on every straight.
I agree totally. I just do we need to talk about the before? Do we need to talk about the Alpha Tauri Red Bull connection and that again? Because there's a lot of things going on. I see on socials and forums, etc. That Red Bull was instructed Alpha Tauri to make sure there's a
Oh
safety
yeah,
car
and
coming.
how would they orchestrate that exactly?
Why would they orchestrate that
It's
when you have a
impossible.
93-point lead?
I mean,
Why?
there is no reason to do it. And how would they do it? Like the amount of people you'd have to have involved in that and it not get out. Like that's my problem with pretty much all conspiracy theorists or conspiracy theories is that a lot of them rely on a lot of people not spilling the beans.
And it's
And
Yuki.
they
I think he
all
just panicked. That's all there is to it, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think sending the car back out was a massive error of judgment by AlphaTauri. But to say that they did that on purpose to cause a safety car so that Max could get a free pit stop and win the race that he was already going to win, why?
And it's not like it's a title decider, anyways.
Exactly. Like it doesn't matter if he finishes second, doesn't matter if he finishes third. Like
As long
maybe
as he
Mercedes.
beats Leclerc, he's actually fine with it.
I mean, that Mercedes strategy could have been actually the best strategy, for that race, and won the race and came second. Imagine that Mercedes get
Yeah.
1-2, and Verstappen finishes third. No problem. He's still leading the championship, and he's still gaining points on his championship contenders. Who cares?
Yeah,
It's rubbish.
I agree. We're running late again with the show, but
Yeah.
hey, we need to get used to this, and it's okay. Thank you for listening to us, by the way, and keep giving us those 5-star reviews, which you can now also give to us on Apple Podcasts, which is always a good thing. We are now on Apple Podcasts, so go check us out there. We got one sent in question, though, James,
Yeah.
and you can't take an hour discussing this, but
No.
Neuroseeds, or also known as Oystein, sends in a message says Red Bull and Hanna Schmitz seems to be able to do these correct calls really fast, while Mercedes and Ferrari hesitate or fuck up. I don't know if they trust the strategists less or they have maybe a more complicated decision process.
Well, Ferrari's problem is that they just trust the magic 8 ball. They don't have a strategist.
Do it, Pit. Woggle, woggle, woggle. Yes. Do we take 12 seconds? Woggle, woggle, woggle. Yes.
Mercedes, I think normally Mercedes are pretty good with strategy. I think this race was just unfortunate. I think there was some. I mean, it's just the way the things play out. Really, you can't predict it, and even if you do predict it, you can't necessarily always get it right. I think they've messed up with, like we were saying earlier, about how they effectively split the strategy by letting.
I think he makes a good point, though. The Red Bull makes it
Oh,
look easy this year, right?
Yeah, to be fair, I mean,
What's the
yeah,
last bad Red Bull call you can think of?
yeah, I can't really think of one for.
I mean,
for a long
I
time.
think that's the crucial point. I think
Yeah.
Mercedes actually is a very good strategist team, right? And I, in hindsight, today is a bit easier maybe, but I think that was a bad call, but they still made a good call on Russell in the end. But they still got a pretty decent result out of it. I think Ferrari is able to just mess it up, like totally thinking outside of the box, and they can't look back on what they did wrong. While Red Bull just calls it, does it, the pit stop in 2 seconds, James. The rest is stopped. Too flat.
Last week we were saying the 2.2-second stop.
It's insane. Make everything heavier, make it with a stop sign, do everything to make it a bit slower. 2 second flat. I was looking at that, I was like, wait, that was fast. That was insane. So I think the team is just an well-oiled machine to make the right calls. And you actually saw her, Hannah, sitting at the pit and smiling. You saw that? That they zoomed into her and she smiled? I was like, yeah, okay. They definitely know that everything seems to be working out as well. So
it's nice to see her getting
the credit for it, right?
Getting a bit of credit for it and the recognition for it and being shown on camera as well, because before she was more just a name that you heard occasionally.
Yeah.
And she deserves a lot of credit for what's happening with Red Bull at the moment. Yeah, just hats off to her and that entire team, really. Yeah.
We have one thing left, James.
Okay.
We talked about next week. We talked about, of course, our race predictions, J or nay. Took a little bit more time, but so far I quite like the way of approach. Let us know if you listen to us, if you like it. You can also tweet at us at F1InFocusPod. Of course, just send us a message and we'll take it into consideration. James, what Formula One related beverage or food are you having, my friend?
I could play it safe with the beer. As again, I didn't manage to find a Dutch beer. I could have just got Heineken, but I was trying to find something else and I couldn't get it. So, have you? I don't know if this is just a generic English pub food meal. Have you heard of the ham, egg, and chips?
I'm afraid
It's just ham, egg, and chips. It's a very British dish, and I wasn't sure if it's something that you get over in the Netherlands or not.
No, not really. But then again, I went to Scotland a couple of months ago and
next time
got given a deep fried Snicker, so I'm not surprised.
No, next time you're in a pub in the UK, just look for ham, egg, and chips. It's a pretty common thing in just like most generic pub chains. Okay. But I'm gonna make this the ham, egg, and chips Monza edition. So the chips, we put the chips in a cone and we put mayonnaise on them to make them a bit Dutch. And then when we serve the dish, we just tip the chips on top of the ham.
I like it. I like it. Think about last year, everyone, and then you know what this one is all about. That was some race, though. I'm going to make it easier because it's, of course, Italy. I have huge respect for the man. I'm going to go and grab a pasta Maldonado.
Oh, no.
And on that note, there's just one thing left to do. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.
See you next time.